for our community, which we work and which we live. We pray for safety, especially through these difficult times with this virus, and pray that it will end soon and that you will keep us safe and well. Bless our mayor and city council members and all of those who live and work and share and serve in this community, especially being with our first responders. May your will be done in all that is said and done here this evening, for it is in your holy name we humbly pray. Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America
and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Must not be feeling well.
Jeff?
Mask on.
Jeff?
Happy New Year, everyone. Mayor, council. Thanks to the clerk for my requests and the data he's given me. I had planned to talk tonight about the politics of building a Jeffersontown police station and giving employees, what, $700 million or whatever it is, large sum of money. But you have a full schedule. I'm going to shorten my thought. You're going to have to approve some cars, I presume, junk property from the city tonight. Why aren't we giving more to Western Kentucky? If we've got it, why not give it if it gets them through a year or two? From my position on this side as a police officer, if we've got something useful, why not send it down there? I don't think we're poor. So I ask you to think about all that. Any questions? Not, I'll.
Thank you.
Can I make a statement? The one car, there's two cars tonight. One is going to Dawson Springs. The other one was sold to buy another vehicle prior to the tornadoes hitting. So the one vehicle we had available, we sent down to Dawson Springs, and it's on the surplus. So it's not like we're selling cars when the tornado hit.
The fire department was gracious in sending a pumper down there as well. And one more thing is, rest assured, there was nothing political in any of those decisions.
Public Works has got a Bobcat with equipment down there too.
Yeah.
And I have set up cities helping cities across the state where we've all signed up. So when they ask for something, they get it.
Very good.
And our own mayor and
Never
police
makes-
chief went down there personally.
That never makes it to the public, so
It's not political. We don't have to
It's
do it
not.
political.
I understand
It's-
that.
We help people regardless of the news.
Your citizens don't know any of that.
We don't do it to get the publicity, Jeff. We do it to help people.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Reading the minutes, December 17th, 2021, special council meeting.
Mayor, I would move that the minutes be approved as distributed.
Can we stop for a minute?
I know we'll go back. I'll go
Yeah.
back.
Okay.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? Deletions, corrections? Hearing none, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Motion carries unanimous. Reading of minutes, December 7th, 2021.
Mayor, move that the minutes be approved as distributed as well.
Second.
Do we have a second? Hearing a second. Any discussion? Deletions, subtractions, discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries unanimous. General Fund Warrant 1552.
Mayor, I move for approval of general fund warrant number 1552 as distributed.
Second.
Hearing a second. Any discussions?
I have two questions.
Sure.
Questions, Mayor. On page 6, second item from the bottom, the revenue department software annual expenditure.
Yes.
That now we're getting new software, I believe. So at what point will this current one
We're thinking about 8 months.
phase out? About 8 months from now? Okay. I know we're getting a new one, so.
Yeah.
And then over on page 12, the police department radar certification halfway down. That's great that we do that. Do we also do certification for our individual certification for our tasers as well, or is, I didn't know if it,
Chief, is there anything on those?
Well, we retrain.
we,
Are you talking about the taser equipment itself?
no,
The
I didn't know
guns.
if the individuals had to, I didn't know if they had to have certification every year or if it was,
Yeah, there's retraining every year.
okay. Great, great. And the reason I brought that up was, of course, the tragedy that happened last year. Not here, but in a different state. And I thought, well, that's great that we're doing it. So that was it. I saw that the certification just brought up to my mind. I didn't know if we did that as well.
Around, we have instructors, training, we pay
Outstanding. Mayor, that's all I have. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Any other discussions or questions? Hearing none, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Motion carries unanimous. Road Fund Warrant 939.
Make a motion to approve road front, road front, 939 is distributed.
Second.
Second. We have a second. Hearing a second. Is there any discussion? Deletions, subtractions, or questions? Hearing none, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Motion carries unanimous. And from the lovely city of Lexington, Kentucky, we have Leanne to present our audit. She has driven down here to tell us how great our city is, and it's one of the best, if not the best of the best, and financially in great shape.
He's giving you my whole presentation. First of all, I do thank you all. We appreciate your business. We appreciate being able to serve you all. I want to especially thank Bill and Holly and the rest of the team here for all their help in facilitating this audit. You've seen me twice this year, so you are all caught up on your audits now. And that's great.
Technically, no, this is the first time we saw you this year.
That's correct. That's correct.
Fiscal year.
That
She's
is
talking
right.
fiscal years.
Y'all have to bear with me now. My years are all getting confused on me. But at any rate, I'm going to turn you over. I believe you all have copies of this, either in a PDF or in a paper copy. You will be receiving, the city will be receiving their bound nice copies tomorrow. But I am going to point you out to page number 2, which is what everyone cares about the most. And that is that once again this year, the city of Jeffersontown is receiving an unmodified opinion on their financial statements, meaning that in all material respects, these financial statements are correct. I've told you all before, what that means is that these financial statements are reliable for your decision-making purposes. Probably more importantly than that is many times when we do audits, we have numerous adjustments. We did not have numerous adjustments here. We had no adjustments on your road fund. We had 2 routine adjustments on your general fund that we make every year based off information that your staff prepares and gives us. So that means that what you get from Holly and from Bill on a regular basis are reliable for your decision-making purposes, which in my opinion is probably even more important. Just a couple of things to point out on your financial statements. I think all your pens are down here and they're about to wind up in the floor. But on page 4, I would just like to refer you all to management's discussion and analysis. I'm not going to go over this in detail, but it's a very nice narrative overview of the year, and it presents some condensed financial information. So it's kind of your year in a nutshell, and I would encourage you all to read that. Your team here does a great job writing that. But overall, the year was very, very good. Your net position on page 10 was $79,394,000 at the end of the year. That includes all of your fixed assets, and it also includes your long-term liabilities like your pension liability, your OPEB liability, and then any kind of compensated absences you have. One thing I would point out, as you all are well aware of, you did pay off all of your debt this year that was bonded debt. So excellent for a city of this size. That's fantastic. Looking at page 11, your net position did decrease $116,000 or so this year. And really, that's actually tremendous. You may say, well, you decreased. That's not great, but it is, because your pension expense is very, very high. I don't have that number on me right this second. But it was pretty close to $1 million. So with you all looking at your budget and being very aware of your budget during these difficult times, along with the infusion of some CARES Act money, that did very nice things for your general fund or for your net position. When we look over on page 14 at your general fund, this is something I really want to point out to you, and city clerks and treasurers, and maybe the mayor might cringe when I say this, but this is your general fund. It's when we look at your net position here, it's kind of got a short-term focus, so it's kind of what's available for spending. Some of your all's net position you all have allocated to various projects. But I want to point out that your net change in your general fund balance this year increased $1.6 million, almost 1.7. The biggest part of that, again, is related to your CARES Act funding. So that's good. That's excellent. In your notes to your financial statements, we don't have anything new or different. We are working with the team here to implement two accounting standards that will be coming up in the next couple of years. And they're right on top of that. They stay very educated, availing themselves of different courses that they can take. So I think that's excellent as well. The other two things that I would point out to you all are, if you'll let me get to this page. I want to point out your schedule of expenditures of federal awards, which is on page number 56. I'll give you a minute to get there. We did conduct our audit in accordance with the audit requirements of uniform guidance, or you might have heard it called the Single Audit Act. The city expended about $1.9 million in federal money this year. $1.3 million of that was Coronavirus Relief Fund or CARES Act money. And so that was the program that we did audit this year. I would point out to you all that you had no issues of noncompliance with the requirements of this grant. And we also reviewed your controls over compliance. So that's the processes that you have in place to make sure that you're complying. And those were all found to be operating as intended as well. So no issues there. And I will point out one more thing. And that is on page 58, we have what you might hear us call your yellow book report. That might be what you're familiar with. It's your report on internal controls over financial reporting. Again, we reviewed your internal control system, your processes and procedures to kind of help us plan our audit and determine where the financial statements might be at risk of being materially misstated. If we had become aware of any issues with internal control, we would have elevated that immediately and brought that to the attention of management and those charged with governance. We did not find any, so that is excellent as well. We had no difficulties in performing the audit. We had excellent cooperation, as you would expect, and we are already talking about looking at next year's audit and getting that expedited and getting you all back on schedule. So you will see me 2 times this year, hopefully. Do you all have any questions?
I do. Every year I ask the same question, but
Okay.
it's this. Now you mentioned there's 2 standards that will be coming up in the next couple of years
Yes, sir.
that our city clerk and Holly are already aware of. So that doesn't concern me. And you said our internal controls were on pace or on track too. Are there any recommendations that you would have outside of that may help us?
We did not have anything this time. We did in 2020. And your team went ahead, and even though it's been a short, there's a short window between when you saw me here presenting 2020 and now presenting 2021, they took actions to go ahead and implement those suggestions immediately. So when we move into next year's audit, we'll be doing kind of the same thing. We'll be looking maybe even a little bit deeper dive. As we become more familiar with you, we look a little bit deeper and maybe our suggestions become a bit pickier. So we might have some next year, but this year we did not have any.
No, these people up here, the office, they do a
fantastic
wonderful job.
Yeah.
And they're to be complimented. So, thank you very much.
Thank you all. Thank you all.
All right. No other questions? Thank
Nope.
you. Safe trip. First reading resolution 682, 2022, a resolution, as you heard just a few minutes ago, declaring the cars as surplus and the cars that we gave to Dawson Springs, who they're very much appreciative of and requested from us.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion?
No.
All in favor?
Aye.
You get to say, please say aye.
I forgot to say aye.
All right.
Sorry.
All opposed, please say no. Hearing none, motion carries unanimous.
Resolution number 682, Series 2022, a resolution declaring police department vehicles and equipment as surplus. That concludes first reading. You may entertain a motion to approve.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Motion carries. Second reading of ordinance 1422, Series 2020. This is an annexation for the name of Kirby area that has come back from us from downtown Louisville. I will let Skylar explain what they put with their approval and what he has changed in this for second reading.
As you know, we have had for years now an ongoing back and forth with MSD over their continuing or desiring to continue to charge drainage fees in the areas which we take over, and we absorb the drainage cost as a part of the general fund. So we do things differently. Metro Council inserted in their approval that nothing about their approval was intended to alter the relative positions of Jeffersontown and MSD with respect to working through this ongoing issue we have about drainage fees and how that should happen. As you may recall, I think I briefed you before, it's a really complex situation that goes back to an agreement between the county, the city of Louisville, and MSD in 1986. So it goes back that far, and we're trying to sort through it and get it straightened out. Everyone's working well. Because Metro Council put in that caveat that nothing about this was intended to affect that, I echoed that caveat in a minor amendment to this ordinance for second reading so that the two are consistent. That's all I did. That's the only change that's come about.
I got a couple questions on that. If you maybe can just explain. I was told, because in fact, Carol brought it up, that maybe people shouldn't get services for a year until they start paying taxes, even though they're annexed by J-Town. You told us can't do that. If you're a citizen, everybody has to be treated the same, correct?
We have to provide services as soon as possible to the area annexed. That's by state statute.
This one, and I guess it was Mansfield, MSD is still charging those drainage fees, even though they are part of Jeffersontown now and shouldn't have to pay those fees.
We agree with that position, and we have been in numerous discussions back and forth. The problem that we are encountering is that in the acquisition of the territories, in certain circumstances, we acquire literally assets of MSD in the form of drainage work that has been done.
Correct.
Okay. We are acquiring those for which MSD has paid money, and they have a debt service on that. And so we're trying to work out a fair and equitable arrangement so that the city of Jeffersontown is treating MSD fairly with respect to acquiring the, if you will, the assets of the drainage from MSD, and then working from that. So we're trying to deal with expenditures that have been made sometimes years ago, when these subdivisions were developed or secondarily there too. So that's the conundrum that we're
So
in.
are we going to potentially have to pay money to MSD for annexing these subdivisions?
We won't by any other reason than by agreement, in my opinion.
We didn't read by agreement.
In other words, we are negotiating with MSD to come to a resolution of that issue, either on almost an immediate basis, or do you want to take it out over years? But the net gain, and really the net gain on it, we're quantifying it, and it's actually not, when you look at us having 37 million in assets, et cetera, as we just seen, whatever, if we would pay them anything, it would be de minimis in comparison to that.
I think we need to be very careful. And now that we have a new thing here, should we be even annexing? Because we could potentially be spending.
Yes,
how
we
much
should
money?
be annexing.
we're gonna-
They want to be a part of our city.
But we have to pay. We have to pay for them to come into.
If you agree to it, you have to, agreement is with both parties signing it. It's not a one-sided agreement. So if you decide, yes, I want to pay them, that's you deciding you want to pay them.
Otherwise, the homeowners still pay it.
The problem, you correct me if I'm wrong, Schuyler, the problem is the fee is between the homeowner and MSD.
Right.
We are a third party to it, so we're limited to what control we have over it. So
So going forward, is J-Town going to be providing drainage services to these new areas, or will since MSD is still charging them, will MSD continue to provide drainage services?
Okay, according to the MS4 agreement, which we can get you a copy of it, that we're a co-permittee of the drainage in the metropolitan area. We are a co-permittee, and it's boundaried by what we are as a city. And with that, we provide the drainage up until the blue line streams. And when we annex, that becomes part of us. So we are required by the MS4 agreement, which is more federal, that we have to provide the services regarding that agreement. That is where the conundrum comes of them providing services, unless you want to contract with them to provide it. But
No.
again, that is a contract that two people sign. It's not a demand that they have any right to have.
And the
Where
MS4
I'm
gives
confused,
us
though, is it-
exclusive jurisdiction over drainage within the territorial limits of Jeffersontown. We have the primary exclusive jurisdiction. So that's if for example, we charged a drainage fee instead of absorbing it in people's taxes, right? If we broke it out as a drainage fee, it would have been a really seamless transition. The MSD fee would have been replaced with ours. The difficulty we're having in making it G and HAW is the fact that we have two different funding mechanisms for providing drainage between MSD and the city of Jeffersontown. So that's what we're trying to work through with MSD. MSD can't provide the services, so they have admitted if they cannot provide the services, they cannot charge the fee.
But they still are.
But
Because of the debt service. So you're saying because of the debt service, they want to continue that fee. So they're under no obligation. They're actually under no hurry to want to get rid of that because they can charge it in perpetuity.
No, but also
Oh,
the fee is a service fee also. So it's.
But they're not providing the service.
Yeah, but they're not.
That's what
You
I'm
argue
getting
if they're
at.
not
Okay,
providing
you
the service.
all understand it then,
Yeah.
right?
Well, no, I'm saying that's what I'm trying to say. It doesn't make any sense. Is that our citizens are going to continue to pay this fee to MSD because they're not going to release it. Yet MSD is not going to provide any services. Jeffersontown will.
Okay.
Right.
That's wrong.
and well,
Okay, we agree.
here's the problem,
I
Ray.
disagree with you.
That fee relationship is between the homeowner and MSD. We have no standing as a city
To take it.
to interfere with MSD and their customer. The customers are going to have to take the reins.
Are they, could you argue that they're not customers anymore when they,
We've argued everything. The problem is, once we prove our point, if they still charging the fee, what do? You have to take them to court. And to Schuyler's point,
I don't have any
we
standing.
don't have any standing to take them to court, but the resident does. So we're trying to do it without them spending any money, working with MSD to avoid the
Having the
void
lawyer
to-
up and
avoid the situation.
So-
Now, if you all have any better suggestion how to tell MSD not to charge them, I'd be glad.
No,
to
the only
hear it.
recommendation I would have was for those whole homeowners to get together and find out from MSD, what is the debt service on this piping or whatever you had? And it should have ended at this date. So how much more is owed and what credit do we get for the bills we paid for the last 6, 7, 8, 10 years?
You're opening up a can of worms there, Brian.
The other problem we come into at Kirby Estates is the
86
agreement, which, not to get farther in the weeds, is at one point in time when the annexation, you're all old enough to remember this, the annexation of Louisville kept annexing the county and the county kept fighting them. So then there was a moratorium put on, right? Well, before that happened, Louisville had to have, in order to annex, you have to be able to provide the service,
Right.
So in order to provide the service, you have to have MSD agree to provide the service. So when they were getting ready to annex part around where Kirby Estate is, I don't know the exact boundaries, MSD agreed to, by agreement with Metro, to provide the service there. And they never did annex it, but the agreement was never abolished. Did I say that right?
right.
So that even, I'm just telling you all how this is. Yes, it's not right. Yes, it's not. I mean, you can say a lot of yeses, but then I'll entertain any suggestion of how to abolish the fee.
How much is the debt? How much is it?
Depending on which place you're talking about.
The total debt service, and I'm going back to when those bonds were written, the debt service on that if you carved it out, because the bond, okay, the MSD bonds, they're county to county, county line to county line, and actually across county lines, and they take into account Morris Foreman wastewater, a lot of other treatment plants, the whole infrastructure, both dirty water, clean water, rainwater. So if you piecemeal each part out, okay, that debt service may not, that's what we're in the process of trying to quantify with MSD. I don't think, it may be I don't know. I'm guessing. Is it in the nature of $500,000 to $1 million for the whole thing? We're talking about not just Kirby Estates, but everything related to all of the annexation that we have done of both commercial, and keep in mind they do a different rate for commercial than they do for residential. And if you go past all that, if I were going to guess, I would say it's in the nature of around $500,000.
For just the annexation part, the part we're taking in?
All of the annexations we have done,
Since the
All of
moratorium
it.
is lifted?
all of it,
The problem incurs,
not just Kirby Estates.
it's like buying a used car and somebody charging you for all the work they did on the car while they owned it.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
and we never owned it, and now all the city does is provide a service. So what they have performed in the past, we're just servicing it.
yeah.
So and we are a co-permittee with them. We're not buying it, we're still with them. So my philosophy is we don't too, just as I said, you're buying a used car and it's already had service to it. Number two, the product is something, the debt is with the homeowner. And once you start paying that as a city, anytime you annex anything, they can make up whatever price they want on that, because the price not only is in what you're annexing, it's upstream and downstream any improvements. So to Skylar's point, they may only done 500,000, but they may go in and claim upstream or downstream improvements. So it could be several $1,000,000. It's, and I will take any suggestion you all want to perform to get them to do, because that sounds like everybody here feels like it's unjust that they're charging this
It
fee.
is unjust.
So
It's a government monopoly. MSD.
You're right, Ron.
A poorly run government
See how many
monopoly.
times
well,
they
all that
change.
being said, guys, what do y'all want to do?
Well, I mean, but I like your used car analogy, but it's kind of like you bought a used car with a lien against it, and they didn't disclose that there was a lien against it when you bought that used car. And now at this point, they have disclosed it.
Yeah,
But I'm talking about the ones we've done in the past.
But I don't want to give the impression that MSD and the city are doing this, okay? They're cooperating with us. We're going, both sides of this, MSD and the city, know there has to be a solution.
And they're
Right.
trying to work together.
And we're working on it. And, you know, it is one of those that every time we touch this agreement, it impacts this agreement over here. And it's got a lot of moving parts that go back to 86. I mean, you know, back when I was a young lawyer, you know, so, you know, it's got some, but we're working toward it. And Paula Purifoy, their general counsel, is working directly with me. And we're, you know, it's very amicable, but it's
Still looking like we're going to have to pay them some money.
No.
no,
No, I think Ray.
That's why I'm confused.
Yeah,
Not
it
saying
sounds like
that.
the residents will continue paying.
Homeowners will.
I think from what I'm hearing, if these new residents come into J-Town, they'll just continue paying this fee. Like the city's not paying it, the residents are. And I think what it sounds like you guys are trying to figure out is, when does that payment to MSD stop? How many years after they're annexed will they stop paying it because we're providing services? That's what it sounds like the
or
negotiation
will
is.
it be a reduced amount, or is there a possibility that we would pay them simply a flat fee and be done with it?
Yeah.
You know, there are a lot of
Sure, all
different
of these are on
ways
the
to skin the cat, and we're going through every one of them, you know, back and forth, trying to figure it out from both entities' perspectives, and taking into account, if we can avoid it, I don't want to put the homeowners in a position where they've got to take a direct action against MSD.
Right.
You know, that,
It's
Nobody
financially
would ever want to
hardship.
be
I
annexed.
think that'd be impossible to win.
Well,
Yeah,
I would
so-
almost suggest to the homeowners not to pay the bill, but the bills are so convoluted. You talk about commingling of funds. It's through the water company, who's owned by the city of Louisville, who they don't own MSD, but it's kind of controlled by the city of Louisville. Quasi.
That's what's the government.
And it's, you know, I don't know if anybody knows, well, I'm sure Mayor knows, but Birmingham, Alabama literally went bankrupt over a corrupt MSD system.
well, it's
It's
look
a
at
joke.
Flint.
Well, I don't want to infer that we're suggesting that MSD is corrupt.
No,
I don't want to Scour's point. I don't want to infer that they're not trying to
And
work with
they still
us.
need to negotiate in good faith.
Yeah, the what we're having
I could tell
is
you
we
stories.
negotiate a system by way to settle it, and they take it back to the board, and then the board comes back with another agreement. We thought we had an agreement, to Mark's point, that a percentage of the
Yeah,
bill
but
would
yeah.
pay the debt down over a period of time.
Over like a couple of years based on how old the project is and so much put in. Like I could see like a giant, in my head, it's like a giant chart that how
Pays
much
it
did you
down.
spend? Here's how much it is per person, blah, blah, blah. Annexed to the state. Here's how many years.
Well, their board, we thought we had an agreement. Talked to Tony down there. We came out with all the details. They took it to the board, and the board goes, well, why didn't J-Town just pay us their money out of the CARES money? They got free money. So we're back.
So did they, didn't they?
That's no.
MSD didn't get any free money.
That I don't understand. But anyway,
They need a grant writer.
but anyway, the system is right now, we're still trying to get to what Mark was kind of talking. That's where we feel would be advantageous for us, us being our residents, the city that are part of it. Because unless, again, you all have anything else you want us to do, we can do it. We all agree on the same topic. We think it's unfair they're doing it.
I'm just not so sure we should be taking on more territories till we have a more firm
Answer.
answer on this. It's not that I don't want these people to come into J-Town. I do.
Are you suggesting that we should allow MSD to hold this city hostage from growing?
I think
That's what you're proposing.
It sounds like what they're doing.
No.
I don't think they're doing that at all.
They're asking for more money.
Ray, I don't think they're asking for more money. They're just asking for the continuation of the payments from the residents to MSD.
Without doing any further work. So any future work will be done by
Yeah.
J-Town.
Am I under the standing that there's different MSD prices for different?
Yes. Yeah. Businesses pay higher than residential. Yes.
Wastewater. Actually, both.
Actually, yeah. Both sides. LG&E does too.
I was going to say, yeah, internet's like that too.
It's all more expensive for business than it is
Businesses
for
always pay
residential.
more.
Businesses have always
supplemented
the residential rate.
But to Scour's point, I don't want MSD to hold it hostage on if you all want to bring in other areas. You still have the area. They're still going to pay us the taxes they've always paid us. They're not changing any difference there. It's up to us to help them get through this without having to pay it in the future. If they do not become part of J-Town, they'd still be paying the fee.
Yeah, they're still paying
Right.
the fee either whether they're in J-Town or not.
That's right.
But
Now,
J-Town wouldn't be paying for future improvements to their drainage.
You're going to get the same money either way.
So they're the only ones going to be paying more money.
The individual residents are, yeah.
The homeowner. Yeah.
You understand now?
All right, I don't like it, but I guess
How does J-Town have to pay more then?
We're not.
We're not.
That's what
not
we're
paying
saying.
anything.
What the hell are you talking about then? What's the argument about?
The resident
The residents
still
pay
has
more.
to pay on their bill a fee to MSD, even though we provide the service.
I understand.
but you don't, Ronnie. This is for
I understand. I don't understand why everybody's talking about J-Town paying. And J-Town will have to pay X.
well, that scholar said we could possibly pay them $500,000 or so to wipe this off.
For what? If they're already paying it, why do we have to pay them $500,000?
You don't, unless you all say, hey, we want to be nice guys and just spend the money and give it to them.
No.
I don't see y'all wanting to do that. I don't want to do that, but those are the options. He's just telling you the options, Ronnie, not the ones we would choose, but our choice would be to try to get them to reduce the fee down to pay off their debt.
I'm definitely not making any recommendations as to future action or inaction with respect to MSD. I was simply trying to advise the council where we kind of are.
And if it comes down to, guys, that MSD wants to charge a fee, I mean, anybody can charge a fee, send you a bill.
Mm-hmm.
And to the point, it's part of a bill of a lot of different things, and it's hard not to pay one part of it. So it gets very convoluted. And the MS4 agreement that we're all in even makes it more convoluted because it says you can't charge a fee, that we have to be the person to provide the service.
So are they still charging the fee?
Yes.
That's why they're negotiating.
And we don't want to go to court, is what you're saying.
We don't have it. Do you understand the word? We don't have standing.
I understand what that means, but I'm not so sure that that's correct.
Okay. That's what I've read. That's what your attorney is telling you. So I mean, if you find out different. Anyway.
On this annexation, though, I make a motion for approval of second reading of ordinance number 1422, series 2021 by title.
Second.
Any further discussion?
One thing, can we get the word Jeffersontown? It's just a clerical
You
thing.
want to spell it right?
I think it's important for the
On the ordinance,
on the
it's
ordinance
correct.
itself. Okay, it is.
On the ordinance, it's correct.
All right, that's all. That's it, sir.
And I will double check.
Yeah.
Frossentown.
Good point.
Frossentown.
Any further discussion or spelling corrections or anything?
I just brought that because that's how Mansfield Estates got messed up. It was originally what Mansfield, or it was different.
Okay. Hearing none, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Motion carries unanimous.
Ordinance number 1422, Series 2021, an ordinance to annex to the city of Jeffersontown a certain tract of land in the county of Jefferson, adjoining the present city of Jeffersontown and being adjacent to and contiguous with the present boundary of said city, and more particularly hereinafter described. That concludes second reading. You may entertain a motion to approve.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Motion carries unanimous. First reading resolution 1424, series 2022. I'll have Steve explain what this is all about. It's
This
kind of
is actually an ordinance.
This is what you
That
sent
is a
us?
typo.
Yeah. Okay, so that one should say ordinance.
Not resolution.
Okay.
Okay, this ordinance actually has two parts to it. I'm going to do the second part first before I forget. One part is updating our fee schedule through all of the Department of Permitting, Planning, and Enforcement, just to bring us up into line with Louisville Metro on our fees for electrical, HVAC across the board. So that's a part of it, and putting it all of our fee schedule in one ordinance versus having to go back and look at different ordinances. The main part of this is that we're looking to bring landscape and tree preservation plan review into the city. This is an administrative review, just like our category 2B reviews. So right now, if we have a category 2B, 15,000 square foot office warehouse building, they come to us for the review. We do the review, we approve it. Then it has to go down to Metro for landscape and tree preservation plan review. We have the ability to do that here,
Right.
and to streamline the process. It stays here. It's not duplicating or anything. It's just bringing it out here so that they can move from one step to the next, just staying here in Jeffersontown. Even a zoning change, goes through the Metro stuff, comes to us,
Right.
and then would have to go back down to them for landscaping. So if it stays out here, it just helps keep that process flowing through. I helped write Chapter 10, Part 2, the original one. Spent part of my career at Metro reviewing tree preservation and landscape plans. And again, it's just an ministerial review, just like any other part of the land development code, looking at setbacks, parking requirements. This is just trees and shrubs and screening requirements and buffer areas. So
It only makes sense.
yes, it just will help things again,
Expedites
the
everything.
flow.
Right.
Good for you.
And just to clarify, these aren't in addition to Metro. These are instead of, correct?
Yeah, these are all the fees are instead of, because landscape, whether it's a landscape fee or tree preservation fee or electrical fee, it'll just be to us. It won't go to Metro. In this case, we've always been doing the electrical fees, and HVAC will just be taking over the.
So it would
landscape
cost them the same,
preservation.
whether it's a J-Town or Fern Creek.
Yeah, I think Steve, it's because one of the fees is like $150 and ours is 50. So if we keep our fees at $50, will the other 100 go to Metro, or
No,
it's just a $50
any
fee?
fees are just to us.
Okay.
There's no doubling up the fees. Now, certain development plan review fees, they, by the way it's set up for plan certain or zoning cases, they have to do their fees, and we do duplicate some fees because we're also reviewing plans. But for the landscape and tree preservation, that will just be here in Jeffersontown. Category 2B, they only pay a fee to us. They don't pay a fee to Metro and to us.
An electrical permit is just
It's
us.
just to us
Right.
because we have expanded jurisdiction.
And my second question is how much do we anticipate is increasing our revenue?
I don't think we've really
I don't
forecast.
think it's a significant amount.
I think it'd be negligible. Yeah.
50,000 maybe, something like that?
No. I mean, you talk what, $150? What's the review? 150?
For tree preservation and landscape plans, tree preservation I think is 150. The landscape plan is a base of 250, but it increases based on the size of your parking lot square
Oh,
footage.
I'm sorry.
basically.
I meant like the electrical fees going up, how much, and
Per year.
per year, how much do we see? How much is we taking a year now in HVAC and electrical and stuff?
We can find out that information. I don't have
Yeah,
it with me.
it's 80, 90,000. It wasn't,
And so this is about doubling it, so maybe another 80, 90,000.
I don't
but
think
that's
that much.
for all the fees that we take in planning and permitting,
Oh,
which
okay.
is HVAC, electrical,
I think we're raising them all.
building and all that kind of stuff.
Okay. I'm just curious.
I'd like to make a motion that we have first reading of resolution number 14.
Or actually, ordinance.
Ordinance.
Oh,
We wrote
Ordinance.
ordinance. Go ahead.
Okay.
Ordinance. Just revert, take the word resolution out.
I'd like to make a motion that we have first reading of ordinance number 1424, series 2022, by title only.
Second.
All right. Any further discussion?
Discussion. Yeah, I just had a question for with the fees, because a lot of these fees are going up, 300%. Is it just because Louisville Metro raised their fees that we're raising ours, or is there a reason why we can't just keep our fees the same that they are today?
When was the last time we raised them? 9 years ago?
Yeah, I think it was about 9 years ago.
Well, there were some other fees we just raised 2 years ago, right?
We did.
The electrical fees that are in this are the same as what was just done. What we're doing is we were
Trying to come in line.
coming up with the HVAC. Those are the ones that actually changed because those were like 15 years ago, I think, that we had set those. The others are just so all of our fees are in the same ordinance. So the electrical that would have been in here is just the same, but it's going to be in one spot because when we're doing expanded jurisdiction review with the state, we were having to try to figure out, okay, where is this fee? Because they wanted to see the ordinance. So in this case, all of the fees will be under one ordinance.
Yeah, and I like that. I like putting all the fees in one ordinance. That makes sense. I just the part that I'm having trouble, I know with a lot of businesses struggling and stuff, is raising fees on them right now. And I know we're talking it's like $100 for most of these. It's $100 increase, but that's $100 increase. Where a lot of these businesses are paying more for stuff. It just makes it difficult. That's all.
I think too, we got to look at, our costs have gone up. We've got more people and don't we, Mayor, have more people in code enforcement now? Or
Yes.
Same amount of people. The code is a full-time as rather part-time.
Yep.
That's all it is.
And that's why I was asking if there was a justification behind it other than, well, Louisville's paying more, so we'll pay more. Like, is there a real reason? Like, hey, we've got,
Why we're raising.
5% increase in payroll and we need to cover that cost somewhere.
Well, I think another thing that was brought up is if you're in the Jefferson town, you get your inspection here and you don't have to go to Louisville. So
And that's
you're
fine. Yeah, we can continue
saving.
doing that, Tim. That's what I'm saying. We can continue doing that. I love that.
Yeah.
But, the fees are going up on everything and they're still going through J-Town. Is there a reason why we need to increase it? Is there a reason other than just because everyone else has increased?
Well, they
Is
had
there
to do
one of them in particular or several in particular that you're?
Well, when I was looking at them, right, it's like every fee's going up. And I'm just, is there is there a net amount that we needed to increase? Is that why did we pick the number, from like sandpipe, or was it standpipe only $30 to $150?
Yeah, and some of those actually are, I believe, and Scott's the one that knows that. Some of those are kind of dictated by the state. So we haven't updated ours in like that one, I think was 12 or 15 years, just to bring it in line with what it costs for us to do those plan reviews and those inspections.
Yeah, and that's the thing. If there's costs that we're
where-
paying to do that, I totally get it.
Yeah,
right?
and that's where it comes from because some of these are, again, so outdated when codes keep getting more complicated and bigger. It takes a little bit more time to do those reviews. And so that's where we're bringing it into line with the state and Metro based on, the amount of time it takes to do those reviews. We're not, here to make money off of those.
Right.
It's to cover our costs of what you end up putting into those reviews and those inspections.
Okay. Yeah, and that was my concern, Steve. So that I think covers it, because I know in the past the council's really talked a lot about a lot of the hoops that businesses have to jump through just to do business, and we try to streamline a lot of that. And we've done a really great job with BOZA board and those kind of things. And I see us raising fees, and if we're passing those costs on to somewhere else for us to file the stuff, that makes sense. But if we're just raising it to keep up with the Joneses. That doesn't,
No, it's really to keep up with the costs of the reviews and
Okay.
everything.
Any further discussion?
That's good.
All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Motion carries.
This is first reading of ordinance number 1424, series 2022, an ordinance amending chapter 150 of the Jeffersontown, Kentucky Code of Ordinances to add a new section to chapter 11, part 6 of the Jeffersontown Land Development Code. That concludes first reading.
Thank you. Committee reports. Councilman Perkins.
Nothing from administrative, Mayor. I got several phone calls, and I was expressing to you earlier about people interested in possibly purchasing some of these pews.
Right.
One of them was Marlon Cummings from down at Jam, and if that's the case, I would hope that we could just give them one if Jam needs one, not charge them.
We have reached out to the tornado victims. Towers reached out to churches all across the area, and we haven't had any responses. And Julie was thinking about having them used down at the senior center. The problem. I'm sorry.
I'm sorry. You can't understand him.
Julie was talking about using them down at the senior center, but they're not self-standing. They have to be bolted down.
Right.
So there's a lot of restrictions on them. We even offered to store them till the church, if it had tornado damage, could use them, and we still haven't had any responses. So
I just know Marlon wanted one, so I just thought I'd mention that if we could do that.
Did he contact Jimmy?
I told him to, and I was sending Jimmy's contact info, not knowing if he had it or not. But,
Okay. Because I know Jimmy's working on some
right.
people. So.
That's all I had, Mayor. Thank you.
all right, Councilman Abrams.
Mayor, the Finance Committee has no official report other than to say that we were all working very hard and diligently skimming pages in here on an excellent job you guys did. I do have an email. I wanted up some pictures. They were sent to me by one of the residents that lives on Grassland, Michelle Lemons, and I'll hand these out. And I've spoken to our public works director. He's aware of this now. We have a bike and ped path on Grassland Road that goes from Marioneth the other way towards the football facility. Mm-hmm. And some of the bollards have been run over, backed into, and are damaged. Right now, I think there's only 2 or 3. And Jimmy replaced a bunch last year, and she was very complimentary about that. But she said there's 2 more that are down. And her other question was, and when I spoke to him, he said he would look into that later this week. But we got a snow thing coming up, so he's got to watch out for that first. She asked about lighting on that bike and ped path. And Jimmy's aware of that as well. Said that we have some poor lighting on it. She said there are some lights in place now, LG&E lights, but they have the old yellow tint glow. And she was hoping that somebody could talk to LG&E about maybe changing that head out for the LEDs. And I believe Jimmy's going to look and see if they need any more lighting. He'll take care of that as far as informing you, Mayor. But he's aware of the lighting and aware of the bollards. So the reason I passed this out to council was in case Miss Lemons reaches out, you're aware of it. So.
Okay, we have been working with her over the years, and the lighting, if you switch it to LED, they charge you for that. It's not a free thing.
Oh,
it's additional fee for a month, and there's additional fee for the light for so many years.
Then you got MSD fees on top of that.
and then we looked at the lighting. The lighting the city usually provides in a neighborhood is not to light up the whole neighborhood. Yeah. It's actually more of an accent through the neighborhood, and that's what the coach lighting is down through there in the same way. We've asked her if she wanted to her complex to put lighting out. We'd be happy to show her how to do that. But that was.
Well, she's open to that. She said too.
So if she wanted to do that, I mean, she'd have to ask her apartment complex to see if they wanted to.
Yeah. So her concern is that it's dark early in the mornings. The children are going through there. I believe Jimmy said he informed LG&E already. There was 1 or 2 lights out already.
So they could do that.
Yeah. So that would eliminate some of that.
To answer your question, the LED costs more if you also choose.
I did not know that.
Yeah.
Okay.
The bill was trying to do an investigation of replacing everything with LED. and it got quite a few nickels in there. And it's actually cost you more per month on the fee, and then they charge you the installation unless they do it because it's broken.
Okay.
If they replace it, no. If you request it, yes. But the headway we have been fixing with bollards, new bollards, and if two more broken down, we'll replace those. But it's the same as a sidewalk that's in a neighborhood. Again, we have lighting somewhat, but not totally.
All righty.
Something kind of interesting about that, Mayor. So the old lights cost a lot more to operate, but LG&E doesn't care because in the evening they produce more electric than they use, so they don't mind using more extra electric, even though it's not.
And they store it and they sell it.
They can't store it. They don't have a place to store it. That's the problem, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to. Yeah.
Oh, you're fine.
Cool. Anything else?
Mayor, thank you. No.
All right. Appreciate it.
Time Hall.
Planning and zoning has nothing to report.
Okay. Councilman Powell.
Mayor, I have no report from the legislative committee.
Thank you. Councilman Garzanti.
No report from Public Works.
Councilman Bloom.
Nothing from economic development. I did have a question, Mayor. Some folks have asked about, I know Royals is out and apparently there's some activity happening there. Do we know if someone's moving in there? Gossip Mill says it's Taco Luchador moving.
That's what I was told.
Is that accurate? Do we know? Or I guess has anyone told?
What I understand.
Right.
That's what I understand the rumor is.
You understand that that's the rumor?
Yeah.
But we don't have any confirmation on that.
What I understand the rumor says.
Okay.
Yeah.
What did Mark say?
Taco Luchador's
Luchador's moving up.
Oh, up there, right.
Moving into the downtown. Moving from Stony Brook. They're over off of 6 Mile and over by Stony Brook, and they're moving into downtown.
Yeah, that's about Muscle Burger.
Yeah. All right. That was my only question. Thank you.
Thanks, Mark. Councilwoman Ware.
Pars.
And right has no comment.
Oh, PARS. PARS and recreation.
Cars, Tim.
That's fine.
I do have one quick question. Do we know, is there an ordinance about leaving your garbage cans out?
Yes.
What's the timeline?
66.
24 hours.
24, okay. That's all.
That's PARS for the
That was
course.
a quick answer. It's par for the course.
Or Pars.
Done.
Councilwoman Pike.
A
Well, you're
couple
with
things.
us, Carol. You're with the knee replacement. You're here. I just noticed that.
3 weeks today.
Good job. Good
Yeah,
job.
thank you.
Welcome.
Back to PARS. And I know there's not an ordinance for this, but I've had 2 complaints on it about people picking up their leaves, and their leaves are blowing in other people's yards. And I said, I don't believe there's an ordinance for that, but I will ask.
To control the wind.
Yeah. Yeah.
Boy,
Control the wind. The people on Grand
That's
Avenue are throwing a fit about people not getting their leaves up.
You all
Mighty
got a lot of
government.
power I didn't know you had.
I'm telling
Refer
you.
to the metro or state on that. That's over our head.
That's over
That's
her
Metro.
head, yes.
That's Metro.
Well, I just
30,000
wanted,
mile flyover.
I just wanted to make sure I brought it up.
Eastern
I
or Western
would.
Kentucky.
Here it is.
That sounds like something that those
Okay,
MSD,
that's all I had on that
MSD
one.
fees.
I knew there's nothing we can do. Next thing is, don't forget,
What they're wanting is tell people pick up their leaves sooner than later, I guess, on the serious side.
right, because they clean it, right.
I don't know how you would legislate that.
January 7th, we have a retirement party and a go away party for Sergeant Hurley and Major Brittany Garrett. She's going away, and I think that's at the Tway House at 3:30 on the 7th. Other than that, that's all I have.
That's good. As you all noticed, there's an opening at the other end of the council chambers. I don't know if you all noticed the opening. There's no doors. Public Works has reframed it. The top will be glass that will say, council chambers. The bottom will be glass doors with a, it will not be a kick plate, but it'll be an imprint of what a quick plate would look like on a door. But there'll be glass doors going up hopefully on Thursday.
I knew there was something different. That
Yes,
It's open.
wide open, yeah.
Open government.
Open door policy. I'll pass out. The chamber has sent their updates on what's happening. 1, 2. Okay.
I forgot.
This is events. And a note from the chamber, from Dina. She said in the future, she'll give this to Missy, who will put it in your packet
Very good.
so that you all have it in a digital form in the future. Right now, it's paper form. Carol, you had something else you wanted to bring up.
The only thing that I wanted to say is that we recently lost one of our police officers this week. We've lost two. One was Vincent Mansfield, and the other one was Mondo Garza. And keep their family in your prayers, because it's kind of a sad situation there. That's all I had.
Thank you.
No other business, Mayor. I make a motion, we adjourn.
Second.
So we have a second. Just to let you know, this is my first meeting as mayor of J-Town for the first meeting of January.
Wow.
Wow.
So
Will the next one be your last second meeting of January?
How about Crowley?
Hearing that being said, all in favor of adjourning this first to last meeting?
Hey, will
please say
this
aye.
also be the last first meeting for three of us here as council members?
Yes, that's
Yes.
true.
Yes, yes. So you're going to have a lot of glass first.
Yeah, there's a lot of last first in this group.
So that being said, and the motion on the floor is to adjourn.
Yeah,
All in
well,
favor,
we
please
go.
say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. We are adjourned.
I'm
Thank
going
you.
to run again as council. We're
Hey, you
fine.
got a cup here. Tim's gonna fill, oh, sorry, Phil.
I'll come back as council, probably.
I thought you moved to Florida.
I don't know. It all depends.